Now, the thing I think about when I listen to you talk about this is that it's great, but there's an awful lot of clutter out there.
That's becoming increasingly the problem. That information overload is a major problem that's coming at us. But I think we're becoming more adept at dealing with it. You know, I now have a newsreader. I use Google Newsreader, and I read every night 1,300 items. And I can sift through those items very, very quickly, and I'm getting more adept at doing it the more I do it, right? And now we have tools and communities like Dig, for instance. Dig has 1 million people who just watch the news and vote on what's hot and what's not, really. And so if something gets on the homepage, that was voted there by a large number of, or at least a sizable group of people. And that whole community was designed to help us deal with this information overload problem. Certainly the mainstream press now is getting wind of this and starting to participate. And the BBC is doing its own sifting, right? Professional journalists now are going to be taking all the news that gets announced overnight and sift it out for their readers and present their readers with just the facts, just the stuff that they need to know about.
So you talk about this idea of the professional journalist versus the citizen journalist, or whatever term we want to use for that.
Yeah.
How does a reader, how does a user go about judging credibility when you have all of these sources?
Well, long term, you can judge credibility by reading over and over and seeing who.
1,300 feeds, you can't read over and over again.
Actually, you can, because I'm filtering those for you, right? So I read 1,300 and I share out the best 60 or 80. So somebody who gets on my link blog, I've judged to be credible, and it's probably somebody I know, somebody I've tracked for a while. So if you really don't know where to start, you start with a dig site or my link blog, or a tech meme or memorandum. There's a bunch of different sites where you can go to start with, or Google News, right? Most people would probably go to Google News or Yahoo News and start there in the world. If they don't know where to go for judgment, or they go to the news sources they already know. Most people read a local newspaper, right, today. Well, they're going to get converted into an online service, right? So the San Jose Mercury News has an online site for their news. The KRON has an online service for what you guys are doing, and KGO Radio has an online service for their radio station. So you start there and then you branch out. But in terms of watching like 100 bloggers, you can figure out who's credible pretty quickly, particularly if you're adept with the blog search engines. Like Google has a blog search engine which is separate from Google. It's called blogsearch.google.com, and you can actually put a URL in there and see how many people link to that URL. And so if one blogger has 5 links and one blogger has 20, that guy's probably more credible than this guy. And certainly if over time I'm tracking that, right? Because I'm interested in who is the most credible news source. And I certainly can see that some people are more credible over time than others. But I think it's going to come out to brands. So you're already seeing bloggers get to be brand status. I mean, USA Today on Friday had TechCrunch on their business page, and explained his value to the world now, and that his audience size has gotten so powerful or sizable that he's now able to make or break companies. Well, that was a place reserved for somebody like Walt Mossberg at the Wall Street Journal. That's a complete different shift now, that somebody comes through the ranks now and can get aggregate enough audience to get high enough there.
Talking a little bit off camera here, truth in advertising, since we're posting the whole thing up on KRON4.com.
Yeah.
You just saw an edit there while I switched out tape.
Yep.
We were talking, you were talking about the way you use Google Reader.
Yeah.
And you actually are able to create these link blogs, these link little applets or little JavaScript or whatever they are that can show up on a whole variety of websites.
This is a trend that's going on the internet as a whole. It's the widgetification of the web, right? When you're on a site like PageFlakes or MyYahoo or iGoogle, which is like a personalized homepage, you see all this information all over the place, right? You see a weather feed and a sports feed and a Scoble's blog feed and whatnot, whatever you subscribe to, and it's coming to you. Well, that's coming to you through RSS, and I'm reading all all these feeds and then sharing my favorite ones, and that goes out as another feed, right? And so on my Facebook page, I have a Google Reader widget, right? And you can see my Google Reader blog, my link blog, on my Facebook page, right? And that's sort of what's changing. You know, in fact, on my Facebook page, you also see my JIQ items. So I use Twitter and JIQ to share with the world what I'm doing right now, and that'll show up on all sorts of places, and Twitter Vision and JIQ Vision, you know. And there's even a kite.tv, so I'm putting a little video from my cell phone on kite.tv, and that'll show up. That shows up on my Facebook page, and you can chat live with me too while I'm doing that. It's really cool. But that's what's really, the distribution of news or content is really changing right now. It's undergoing radical shifts. Even the PodTech player, when you watch my show, you can come to scobleshow.com and watch it there, right? But you can also embed the Scoble Show player on your blog, and so your readers don't even have to go to Scoble Show. They can watch my show on your blog. Sort of like when you embed a YouTube video, right? You don't have to send your readers off to YouTube. They just watch that video right on your blog, and it looks like part of your blog. You know, that's changing how content is getting distributed in very radical ways.
Now, one of the things that YouTube has done has gotten rid of this terror of bandwidth costs.
Yeah.
Right? That now they have apparently come up with the money now, eventually from Google now, to be able to not worry about, you can upload video after video after video after video, and you're not paying for storage and you're not paying for bandwidth.
Yeah.
What are the implications for that?
Well, first implication is 10 or 15 years ago, if I wanted to distribute video, so if I wanted to buy a nice camera like you did, and actually the camera you're using is about a $3,000 camera, so it's not prohibitive. You know, that's a credit card bill, right? You know, it's not like
KRON bought it, I didn't.
Yeah, but in the 1980s when I was shooting video, a really nice camera cost $20,000 to $60,000. That is prohibitive. That's way out of the reach of any teenager or any normal person in society. And certainly you don't even need to use a camera like you do, right? My new cell phone, actually, I'm putting videos up. My cell phone's over there. I'm putting videos up from my cell phone. I have a new cell phone, and you can upload those right to YouTube with a cheap cell phone, you know, an affordable cell phone. And everybody in the world is getting a cell phone, right? So that's what's really changing about YouTube is now everybody can distribute media. I don't need to convince a committee. I mean, imagine in the 1980s if I actually had one of those $60,000 cameras. If I took some video, I'd have to convince a committee to distribute it, right? I'd have to go into KRON and convince an editor and a producer and whatnot, you know, that my video was better than what they were putting on already and would get them an audience. And, you know, imagine my conversation. Oh, I have an interview with a CEO of some small startup that you never heard of, and I think you should put that on Channel 4 News. You know, they'd be like, you know, see you later, have a nice day. You know? But now I don't have to convince a committee. I can just put that up on YouTube, and an audience that cares about it can find it, right? Now, what we're competing now for is not getting distribution, is getting attention. And that's pretty hard too, because getting an audience to watch that video takes some skill. You know, first of all, you have to have some news, something interesting, or something funny, and you have to be adept at getting it into the distribution networks, getting people on YouTube to visit it and rate it and link to it and talk about it. And so people who are good at getting attention onto their content are going to be valued in society. Because there's something like 800,000 new videos a day getting uploaded to YouTube. We can't watch it all, right? So we gotta go to the homepage and look at what's popular, or when we see a blog talk about a certain video topic, then we'll watch it there.
So you